Good evening, my friends. Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. All right. This is going to be a guided meditation. When you do this on your own, it's going to be approximately 20 to 25 minutes. However, when you do it with me, it's going to be closer to 30 because I'm going to be doing some jibber-jabbering. This is classically the first week's homework. It's inspired by Buddha's Refrain, which comes from Buddha's longer discourse upon the four bases of mindfulness, which in Pali is known as the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. This is a wonderful sutta. It's available for free download, and this meditation manual is available for free download. Just go to below the video, there's a button that reads Show More. When you click that, you get links to all kinds of free stuff, including this. The Buddha's larger meditation manual, like many ancient epics or many ancient texts, is divided into verse and refrain, just like in a song. And this we're going to play with right now is the refrain. The refrain itself divides into what I call the core practice, and then an elective, and then a core practice, and then an elective, and then a core practice and elective. That's the pattern you're going to see. I play with about 5 variations of the core practice. This is core practice A. And what I'd like to do is use the Bronze Age technology of a mala. It's a Tibetan-style mala with 108 beads and 3 turquoise spacers and 1 large wooden guru bead for a total of 112. Approximately each quarter mala takes about 5 minutes, give or take. If you don't have one, you can order one by using the links below through Amazon. You can buy a mala with small beads if you have delicate fingers, and you can buy a mala with big beads if you have clunky fingers. If you don't have a mala tonight, no problem. You can just follow along with the impromptu instructions. So please just touch the tip of your right little finger to its thumb. If you have a mala, please count the mala upon that right little finger and simply pull the beads, because we're primates, we pull. This mudra or gesture helps us to invoke or access the archetype of Cardinal's fire, or Cardinal Fire's warrior spirit. On the in-breath, we're going to ask the rhetorical question. We're going to ask it silently and mentally. What notice? On the out-breath, we're going to silently and mentally both recite relaxing and intend relaxing. This is not an affirmation. We're not telling ourselves we're relaxed. We're simply using these words to guide our intention. And luckily, relaxing is a natural thing to occur during the out-breath. On the right, you'll notice it reads X''S3, which means 3 repetitions. What notice? Relaxing. That was the essential practice. That's the most frequent meditation that we use in this system. You'll notice that to the right of what notice, in brackets, we see the word this. And to the right of relaxing, we see the word ease. So this ease is the 1-syllable version of what notice, relaxing. When? When will you use the 1-syllable version? In future practices, 40-minute practice or a 60-minute practice, there will come a time where eventually the mind grows so still that 3 syllables will feel very unnatural and 1 syllable will feel spontaneously appropriate. Don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world. If you forget to do it or you don't do it, eventually it'll come naturally. It's not important. Now let's take a visceral look at interdependence. On the in-breath, we ask, what's inside? On the out-breath, we ask, what's outside? These are, as always, rhetorical questions. It is not our job to answer these questions. It is enough to ask these questions and to relax in harmony with the spontaneous in and out breath. If you do that consistently twice a day, you will make progress upon Buddha's path. What's inside? What's outside? And that can refer to our circumstance or our body or our emotions or our mind. It don't matter. And now we scroll down. And as we do, we come to, again, the essential practice, arguably the most used exercise in this system. What notice? Relaxing. And now we play with a visceral approach to impermanence or change. What's coming? What's going? And again, the essential practice. What notice? Relaxing. We now come to our first elective, the 5 hindrances, which is an opportunity to explore our, what Carl Gustav Jung would call, our shadow aspect. We begin by exploring cravings, pulling energy. Whenever we pull something towards us, we can describe that as greed. Our job is not to judge ourselves or suppress our emotions, but is to notice them and work with them. Where feel greed? Relaxing. And now we're going to play with the pushing energy that we can call hate. Now, hate's natural, greed is natural. I'm greedy to breathe, as I'm sure you are. I hate the idea of being sick, and so I try to take care of myself. Greed and hate don't have to be good, they don't have to be bad. In Buddhist system, we don't judge them, we just notice them and dance with them. Where feel hate? Relaxing. Remember, this question is rhetorical, which means it's not our job to answer it. It's only our job to ask it and then to relax to the best of our ability. Sometimes we feel fatigue in our bodies, sometimes we feel fatigue in our mind, sometimes we feel fatigue with our emotions. Where feel fatigue, relaxing. Fundamentalists will tell you that greed and hate and fatigue are bad. And a liberal will say they're neither good nor bad. Our job is to notice and relax and spontaneously flow from one observation to the next. Where feels stirred up, whether it's physically or mentally or emotionally. Where feels stirred up, relaxing. Having completed our first elective, we return to the core practice, this time variation B. Whoops, I got ahead of myself. We now count them all upon our right ring finger. If you don't have a mala, then simply touch your right ring finger to its thumb. Where conflicted, relaxing. By working with our right index finger, we're accessing as the archetype of Cardinal Earth's affluent paternal love. This is a great way to assert ourselves, and this is a great way to manifest. Where conflicted, relaxing. I think we can all agree these 5 hindrances are a bit uncomfortable. And I think you'll enjoy our return to the core practice, variation B, as we scroll down. We begin with the essential practice, what notice, relaxing. And we notice whatever comes up spontaneously, whether it's pleasurable or painful, glorious or grotesque. Again, we will explore a lack or an absence of independence. How could this not be independent? We're taking a question and we're dividing it between the in-breath and the out-breath. How could this not be independent? Again, we scroll down to more of the essential practice. What notice? Relaxing. And now we're going to explore a lack of permanence, an absence of permanence. How could this not be permanent? Remember, these are rhetorical questions. These are not affirmations. We're not trying to believe something. We're simply feeding the program of a question into the computer of our subconscious. We're simply exploring a possibility, if not cognitively, then viscerally. Again, we return to the essential practice. What notice? Relaxing. We scroll down now to the second set of electives. These are the 5 aggregates. First you put the 5 hindrances, and then the 5 aggregates. And this is simply the 5 components of experience. So we ask, what mood, feeling, relaxing? And yes, this is bad grammar, but somehow I think you'll survive. What mood, feeling, relaxing? What storytelling, relaxing? You're not telling a story now, just wait. When you're really upset or really scared or really sad, you'll be telling yourself a story. Now our job is not to suppress the story. Our job is to notice it and relax. What storytelling, relaxing? I recommend you keep your eyes open and maintain a gentle gaze. Don't force your gaze up, down, or straight ahead. Allow your eyes to find their own focus spontaneously. And if right now all you're gazing at is this text in my face, that'll work too. We continue with what label using. You see, when we encounter something with our 5 senses, or even our 6 senses, including our mind, the first thing that happens is we viscerally experience them as either pleasurable or painful or neither. And then we throw a label on it. This is painful, and that's horrible, and this is why. Therefore, I feel this and such. And so we're just working backwards in a very concise manner. What label using? Relaxing. Remember, these are rhetorical questions. As a liberal, I teach that our secret objects of refuge are our mindfulness, our insight, and our spontaneity. Or in other words, our noticing, our relaxing, and our flow. And these exercises strengthen those 3 things. Please now count your mala upon your right middle finger. The reason we're only using the fingers of our right hand is because this is a relatively short guided meditation. If you do not have a mala, please touch the tip of your right middle finger to its thumb. Doing so helps us to access the archetype of Cardinal Water's maternal love. On the in-breath, so we're taking a question and we're dividing it in half between the in-breath and the out-breath. The full question is pleasure, pain, or neither. And so in the in-breath, we ask pleasure, pain. On the out-breath, or neither. And the 5th aggregate is raw sense contact. What sense contact? Relaxing. And if you're confused as to how that works, just hang in there, and in a few minutes we'll get to that. But right now it's enough to simply ask and relax. Obviously, if your lover starts nibbling your ear, it's the body sense that'll be contacting the experience. Now let's return again to the core practice, this time variation C. We begin as always with the essential practice. What notice? Relaxing. Again, we're going to play with a lack of interdependence, this time in a more complicated way, but hopefully in a way that will decode some of the cryptic terminology of fundamentalist Buddhism. How could this, and this of course is a non-specific pronoun, and that's great because this is what we use to grapple with whatever is manifesting in the moment, whether it's circumstance or in our body or in our emotions or in our mind. So all hail the pronoun of this. How could this be empty of anything, independent to grasp? So what's the opposite of empty? It's full. And what's the opposite of independent? It's dependence. So if we're full of dependence, then we're empty of independence. Now, if this does not make perfect sense, that's okay. If you play with this exercise every morning and every night, within a week, if not a month, it'll make perfect sense. Hang in there. Try it. You'll like it. How could this be empty of anything, independent to grasp? And once again, you guessed it, it's one question divided in half, approximately, between the in-breath and the out-breath. So here we go. The essential practice, yet again. Our old friend. What notice? Relaxing. You know, the first time you do this, you may not like it, and that's cool. I'm asking you to suspend judgment, do this for 20 minutes every morning, 20 minutes every night, for 7 consecutive days. Then engage your judgment. So you're giving yourself a chance to slip into the groove and get comfortable with this and notice what kind of results this generates. If this makes you so cranky that your friends start calling you little Darth Vader, go find a better teacher. But if you like the results, come back either to a live class, either in person or over your webinar, or just to my YouTube channel and play with more guided meditations. Just give each guided meditation a week, twice a day. And now we're going to play with a little bit more complicated version of a lack of permanence. You'll recognize the format. It's a question divided in half between the in-breath and the out-breath. How could this be empty of anything permanent to grasp? In Buddha's method, we keep coming back to interdependence and to change, because there are fundamental truths that do not have to be believed, for they are readily observed by the mind, yet, ironically, resisted by the emotions. And this conflict causes all kinds of tsuris. Tsuris is a Jewish word that means stress or tumult or turmoil or suffering. We turn now to the essential practice again. What notice? Relaxing. There may have been a fellow named Gautama who many people called the Buddha. Many documents have been attributed to him. But of all, this, the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, Buddha's greater discourse upon the four bases of mindfulness, is my favorite. Is the only one that begins by saying, this is the complete path. It's the only one that ends with the promise, if practiced, this could generate an enlightenment in less than 7 years, or 7 months, or 7 weeks, or 7 days. That, my friends, is a hell of a promise. Return now to the third set of electives, the 6 sense spheres. Answering the musical questions, how does sense contact work? And yes, these are 6 contemplations that help us to explore interdependence in greater depth. Once again, we're taking a question, dividing it in half between the in-breath and the out-breath. And of course, this question is rhetorical. What is the time between sensation and body? What is the time between flavor and tongue? Please count your mala upon your right index finger. If you do not have a mala, please touch the tip of your right index finger to its thumb. Doing so helps you access the archetype of cardinal, or I should say the elemental permutation of cardinal air, which in turn helps us to access the archetype of the lover of art and romance, as opposed to the lover of action movies and one-night stands. Completely different archetype. Don't worry, we'll get to that in a future class. What is the time between scent and nose? Let's scroll down. What is the time between sound and ears? What is the time between sight and eyes? And the 6th and final contemplation of this elective, what is the time between phenomena and mind? For instance, your eye might be able to see a red balloon, but your eyeball probably can't see a concept like truth or justice or love, but your mind can. And we call that phenomena. What is the time between phenomena and mind. And we return to the core practice, this time a variation D, just like vitamin D that you get from the sun. What notice? Relaxing. Instead of playing this time with instead of directly playing with interdependence, we're going to indirectly play with it as jealousy's antidote. In the Galag sect, they refer to jealousy as self-cherishing. In the Nyingma sect, they refer to it as obscuring emotions. Regardless of which you call it, we're going to play with the same question divided between the in-breath and the out-breath. How could this not be my possession? It might look like my possession. It might not. It might feel like my possession. We're just going to flirt with the possibility that regardless of the conventions of our society, we might not truly own everything we think we truly own. How could this not be my possession? For instance, you might think you own a piece of land. It might have been in your family for several generations. But if a big enough corporation decides there may be minerals or oil beneath your house, you'll find out the court doesn't think you own the soil beneath your house. Ah, yes. Capitalist society. Yum, yum, yum. Let's continue now with the essential practice. What notice? Relaxing. Now we explore pride's antidote. In the Galag sect of Tibet, we call pride self-grasping. The Nyingma sect would call it obstructions to omniscience. We're simply going to ask the question that's divided between the in-breath and the out-breath. How could this not be my identity? And the irony is one of the most efficient antidotes for pride is simply impermanence. If we are our bodies are going to die. And if we are our thoughts are always changing. And if we are our emotions, whoo, those change too. Anywho, let's play with this. How could this not be my identity? And again, we return to the old mule of a consistent exercise. What notice? Relaxing. We turn our attention now to the last set of electives that we'll play with during this session. The 7 enlightenment factors. Now, this is what some of the Mahayana Buddhists would call a peek into our Buddha nature. Now, ironically, Gautama never used that term, but it can be a useful contrast to our shadow self. I invite you now to count your mala up, to continue counting your mala upon your right index finger, while simultaneously touching your left index finger to its thumb. If you don't have a mala, then simply touch each index finger to its thumb as if you're going, magnifico. So these 7 contemplations are basically one question divided between an in-breath and an out-breath. We're feeling mindfulness. And remember, don't sweat these questions. They're rhetorical. There are 2 types of questions, my friend. Hard-ass questions that require an answer, and lazy-ass questions that don't. Welcome to the lazy bastard path of enlightenment. We're feeling mindfulness. We're feeling curious. Have you noticed it's tough to be both grumpy and curious at the same time? We're feeling energy. We're feeling joyfulness. We're feeling quite tranquil. We're feeling collected. What's collected? It's kind of like the opposite of being scattered. What's being scattered? It's the way you get first thing in the morning after your triple espresso shot coffee from Starbucks or some such thing. You know, when you feel like you're a genius and your head's about to explode, that's being scattered. Okay, and the opposite is being collected. We're feeling collected. And the 7th one, we're feeling quite balanced. And despite my silliness, you're probably feeling a bit more balanced than you did 15 minutes ago. We don't have to choose how deep to breath. You like that? You don't have to choose how deep to breathe or how rapidly to breathe. Our body knows what it's doing. It's been up to breathing for quite a while. We scroll down to our last core practice of the session, Variation E. Again with the essential practice, what notice? Relaxing. Again, we're exploring an antidote to jealousy, but this time in a more concise way. How could this not be mine? Again, the essential practice. But first, let's switch our mala to our left index finger. If you don't have a mala, simply disengage your right index finger and persist in touching your left index finger to its thumb. This is a way of engaging our the elemental permutation of mutable air, which helps us to invoke the archetype of improvisational play. You know, kind of like Robin Williams on a good night. What notice? Relaxing. We again are going to play with Pride's Antidote, this time in a more concise way. And although it reads, how could this not be my identity? Instead, let's work with, how could this not be me? And now we come to the final exercise of this session. And as you guessed it, it's what notice? Relaxing. Now, this is an excellent place to stop. It's been about 20 or so minutes, and that's plenty. 20 minutes twice a day is excellent your first week. If you're really in the groove, you could continue counting another mala with just this one question, what notice? Relaxing. And that would double your meditation to 40 minutes. But you don't have to. We'll do that in a future meditation. That's just a sneak peek. We've generated a lot of good karma by practicing mindfulness and insight and spontaneity, also known as noticing and relaxing and flowing. And so now we're going to guide that positive energy with an intention of love. And so we can recite together right now, may I accomplish great benefits unobstructedly for each being. Now you could say, well, how the hell am I going to do that? You don't have to worry about it. If you just make your job noticing, relaxing, and flowing. At first, before today, you were ignorant of those things. Today, you're now more aware of perhaps your failure to notice, relax, and flow. Very soon, you'll get better and better at noticing, and relaxing, and flowing, and eventually, you'll be able to notice, relax, and flow as a habit. And when that happens, benefiting others directly and indirectly will happen spontaneously. If you want, you can chant this with me right now. May I accomplish great benefits unobstructedly for each being. I call this the bookend chant because we're putting an accent on the first syllable and the second to last syllable. May I accomplish great benefits unobstructedly for each being. One more time. May I accomplish great benefits unobstructedly for each being. If you're a religious person, you might consider this to be a prayer to the God of your choice, or the group of gods of your choice. If you are not theistic, then this is merely a way of guiding your intention in a loving and a compassionate way. I thank you for your time and your kind attention. I remind you that that link I told you before, or that button I told you before, can connect you to a bunch of free stuff. If you'd like more detailed guidance, you're welcome to it. I have hundreds of videos on YouTube. And the next series of weekly meditation classes will begin the second Monday of July. You can come in person if you live in or near Burbank in Southern California. Otherwise, you can attend over your webcam via a live webinar simulcast. The links below will tell you about it. If you got more questions, spell them out in lurid detail in the comment area below. Until next we speak, may you and yours be healthy and happy. Bye-bye now.